Throughout history, powerful rulers have influenced not only the borders of nations, but also the beliefs and daily lives of the people they governed. Some leaders forced their subjects to follow one religion, while others allowed different faiths to exist side by side. One historical figure who is often associated with religious tolerance is Genghis Khan. Although he is widely remembered as a great military commander who created one of the largest empires in history, his attitude towards religion was surprisingly open for his time. Instead of demanding that everyone follow the same faith, he generally respected different religious traditions and believed that people should be free to worship according to their own beliefs. His policies helped unite many cultures and contributed to the stability of his vast empire. Genghis Khan was born in the 12th century and eventually united the Mongol tribes under his leadership. Before his rise to power, the tribes often fought against one another, making the region unstable. Through determination, military skill, and strong leadership, he brought these groups together and began expanding his territory. His armies conquered lands across Asia and parts of Europe, creating an empire that included people from many different ethnic backgrounds, languages, and religious traditions. Governing such a large population required practical decisions that could maintain peace among diverse communities. During Genghis Khan's lifetime, many religions were practiced within the Mongol Empire. Followers of Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, Taoism, and traditional Mongol beliefs all lived under his rule. Instead of favoring one religion above all others, he usually allowed these communities to continue their religious activities without major interference. Religious leaders from different faiths were often permitted to hold ceremonies, build places of worship, and teach their beliefs. This approach reduced unnecessary conflict and encouraged greater cooperation among the empire's many populations. One important reason for Genghis Khan's religious tolerance was his practical style of leadership. He understood that forcing millions of people to abandon their beliefs could lead to rebellion and weaken the empire. By respecting different religions, he gained the trust of newly conquered communities and made it easier to govern distant regions. Rather than focusing on religious differences, he expected people to remain loyal to the empire and obey its laws. As long as they fulfilled their responsibilities, many were allowed to continue practicing their own faith peacefully. Another interesting aspect of his policy was the respect shown to religious scholars and spiritual leaders. Historical records suggest that priests, monks, imams, and other religious figures often received special protection. In some cases, they were even exempt from certain taxes or public duties so that they could continue their religious work. Genghis Khan believed that wise people could contribute to society in different ways, and he was willing to listen to advice from leaders of various religions. This willingness to learn from different traditions reflected his broad and flexible approach to governing a multicultural empire. Trade also played an important role in shaping the empire's religious environment. The Mongol Empire controlled large sections of the Silk Road, one of the world's most important trade networks. Merchants traveled across enormous distances, bringing not only valuable goods, but also new ideas, scientific knowledge, artistic traditions, and religious beliefs. Since travelers from many countries passed through Mongol territory, an atmosphere of religious tolerance made trade easier and encouraged communication between different civilizations. As a result, the empire became a place where cultures could interact more freely than in many other regions of the world at that time. Religious freedom also supported the exchange of knowledge. Scholars, doctors, translators, and travelers from different backgrounds were able to meet and share their ideas. Books, technologies, and medical practices spread more easily across Asia and Europe because the empire connected regions that had previously been separated. Although military conquest caused great destruction in many places, the peaceful movement of knowledge within the empire also produced lasting cultural benefits. This exchange helped influence education, science, and trade for many generations. However, it is important to recognize that Genghis Khan's religious tolerance did not mean that his rule was always peaceful or gentle. His military campaigns were often extremely violent, and many cities were destroyed during his conquests. Large numbers of people lost their lives, and entire communities suffered because of war. His acceptance of different religions should therefore be understood as one aspect of his leadership, rather than a complete description of his character. He could be both tolerant in matters of religion and ruthless in military strategy at the same time. Historians continue to debate the reasons behind his religious policies. Some believe that he genuinely respected different beliefs and thought that every religion might contain valuable wisdom. Others argue that his main goal was political stability rather than religious freedom itself. Allowing different faiths to exist peacefully made governing a huge empire much easier and reduced the risk of rebellion. It is possible that both explanations contain some truth. Personal curiosity and practical leadership may have worked together to shape his decisions. The influence of Genghis Khan's religious policies continued after his death. His descendants ruled different parts of the Mongol Empire and often followed similar approaches towards religious diversity. In several regions, different religious communities continued to live alongside one another under Mongol rule. Although local conditions varied from place to place, the general tradition of allowing multiple faiths to exist remained an important feature of the empire for many years. This helped strengthen cultural connections across a vast geographical area. Modern historians often view Genghis Khan as a complex historical figure. Some people admire his leadership, military organization, and ability to unite the Mongol tribes. Others focus on the destruction caused by his wars and the enormous human suffering that accompanied his conquests. Both perspectives are supported by historical evidence, making him one of history's most debated leaders. His policy of religious tolerance adds another layer to this discussion, because it contrasts with the violence that is often associated with his military campaigns. Today, the story of Genghis Khan's religious tolerance offers valuable lessons about governing diverse societies. Countries around the world are becoming increasingly multicultural, and people from different religious backgrounds often live in the same communities. Respecting freedom of belief can encourage peaceful relationships, reduce unnecessary conflict, and strengthen social stability. While modern societies are very different from the Mongol Empire, the basic principle of allowing people to practice their faith peacefully continues to be important in many parts of the world. Religious tolerance does not require people to agree with every belief or tradition. Instead, it encourages mutual respect and peaceful coexistence despite differences. Genghis Khan appears to have understood that an empire made up of many cultures could not function successfully through religious persecution alone. By allowing various faiths to exist, he created conditions that supported cooperation, communication, and economic growth across a remarkable area of the world. Overall, Genghis Khan's approach to religion remains one of the most fascinating aspects of his rule. Although he is remembered primarily as a powerful conqueror, his willingness to allow different religions to flourish distinguished him from many other rulers of his time. His policies helped maintain stability within a vast multicultural empire and encouraged the exchange of ideas across continents. At the same time, his legacy reminds us that historical figures are rarely simple. They often combine remarkable achievements with actions that continue to generate debate centuries later.